Next time you're with a group of friends and you want to talk about sequels that are as good as the first movie, talk about Gamera 2. Gamera 2, Attack of Legion, or The Advent of Legion, takes place 1 year after Gamera Guardian of the Universe, in which Gamera has killed Gauss, and the nation is trying to rebuild several areas that were affected by the fights. Suddenly, a meteor crashes into one of the mountains of Hokkaido, Japan's northernmost island, and as the Japanese Self-Defense Force decides to investigate it, it just disappears. This giant meteor crashes into a mountain and just disappears. I don't know how that works, but all of a sudden some crab or insectoid-like creatures start invading the subways of Sapporo and start killing off civilians and soon form this giant pod in one of the buildings. As the Japanese Self-Defense Force tries to take out the pod, Gamera appears to take care of the situation, and then soon afterwards, the Queen is revealed. The monster is named Legion, and the Japanese Self-Defense Force and Gamera go on a long journey throughout the country to try to kill this thing before it spreads all over Japan and possibly the world. Now, of the 3 Gamera movies in this trilogy, this is the one that I find myself watching the least, which I'm rather bummed about, because after watching it again to re-jog my memory for this review, I really dig it. Do I think it's better than Gamera Guardian of the Universe? No, it's hard to say, but I definitely like both of them a lot. There's some things that Guardian of the Universe does that Attack of Legion doesn't do as well, but then there's some stuff that Attack of Legion does that knocks Guardian of the Universe out of the water. So among fans, you could have a very strong debate over which one is better. Most people say that this one's better. Some of the stuff that this movie does that I'm not a big fan of, there are a lot of awkward uses of freeze frames. Like during some scenes where they recap what happens in order to come to a conclusion, they use freeze frames. There's a scene where the Japanese Self-Defense Force is in the subways of Sapporo and try to help civilians that are trapped from the Legion, and they use freeze frames during the rescue rather than just filming a rescue scene, which I really tried to think of if that was just a problem with my Blu-ray, but I doubt it is. But that's kind of the only major issue I have with the movie. Other than that, there are many improvements here. The Gamera suit looks even better. This is the first time Gamera has actually looked realistic. The shell is very well detailed. There's not a part in the movie where Gamera looks like Kermit the Frog. And it's one of the more iconic looks of Gamera. So much so that they even use it on the Blu-ray box for the trilogy. They also reinvented the way he flies. When he's not spinning around in his shell, and just rather flying forward, his front limbs turn into flippers, sort of like a sea turtle, which allows Gamera to be more aerodynamic while in flight, which is really kind of cool, I have to say. And then the enemy monster, Legion, is really probably one of the best monsters that this series has to offer, if not the best monster. Because Legion is kind of like Biollante in a technical sense. You have this giant enemy monster that's bigger than your title monster, with all these little pieces and parts that would require a lot of puppeteers to make come to life, and you're thinking like, this is a truly ambitious creature. It would be a really difficult task for puppeteers and a guy in a suit to really pull this off, and they do. It is a really cool looking monster when it's in its final form, and there are points where it can actually be kind of scary. Once the final battle gets really heated, Legion really becomes kind of frightening. And even at the beginning of the movie, when we first see the crabs in the subway, it's kind of like a horror movie in a way. You got these civilians trapped underneath the subway, and you got these creatures that are killing them, and we actually do see some of them get killed. And there's even one point in the movie that legitimately scared me. Admittedly, it is a cheesy jump scare, but since I'm not familiar with this movie as much as I am the other two, it made me go, Jesus! Like, I sincerely got scared when I saw it. And as for the characters, what I've said about the characters in the first movie kind of applies for this new batch of characters here. They're not particularly interesting, but I still like them. And Asagi is back in this movie in a very small role, smaller than the first movie actually. But they still get the job done, and unlike the characters in the first movie, some of them are actually required for the defeat of Legion in the sense of helping Gamera out. And also, this is the first Gamera movie since Gamera vs. Zigra that brings back that cliche that I hate, in which Gamera is taken out of the movie for a bit, and you have a long period of not much going on with Gamera. But this time, the way Gamera is taken out for a good chunk of the movie, it's not as long as the movies in the Showa series, and I won't say what it is, but when you watch it, it makes a hell of a lot more sense than the way he's taken out temporarily in the Showa movies. And plus, when Gamera eventually does come back, it makes the rest of the movie seem that more impactful. Like, you are really rooting for your hero. Also, I gotta say before I give my rating, I love the fact that this movie takes place in the wintertime. It adds a sense of beauty to a movie that has two monsters played by guys in rubber suits, but it helps bring a little more emotion to the movie. I mean, the atmosphere is beautiful. There's just something about a movie that takes place with a lot of snow that kind of adds something to it, for me at least. This is actually one of those non-Christmas movies that I could pop in during the holidays and just watch it. It's by no means a Christmas movie at all, but I could see myself watching this during the holidays. So Gamera 2 is very action-packed. The special effects are spectacular. The human characters are slightly more important here than they were in Gamera Guardian of the Universe. And again, like the first movie, this is not afraid to take risks with the fact that they just destroy some parts of the suits. They engulf both of the suits in explosions. Like, it is just a spectacular monster movie. So it's worth seeing in your lifetime. Is it as good as Gamera Guardian of the Universe? Some days it is, some days it isn't, but it's still a fantastic movie in the genre nonetheless. And that's my review for Gamera 2 Attack of the Legion. Leave a comment and tell me what you thought of the movie. If you've seen it, like, subscribe, go check out my video blog channel. You can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, go like my Facebook page, and this is the real Mr. Robinson telling you there is only one.